Welcome, welcome. Nashville. It's going to be there's a lot of things to consider today. A lot of ways we can go. I have not seen. So Denny Hamlin's on baby watch. If she goes into labor, he will leave. Obviously, tough to know for sure how that's going to go. And obviously can't, don't know for sure if something's going to go or something's going to happen in the middle of a race, because I'm sure he would get out of the car in the middle of the race too. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit easier if she goes into labor before the race. Selfishly for us, hopefully the baby waits until after the race, because Denny Hamlin should be really strong today. Should definitely be a contender for the win. He's always really good here at Nashville, and looked really good in practice. Has a great car. Qualified second. It's another week of what do we do with the pole sitter, Chase Briscoe. Chase Briscoe, just like last week, is on the pole for today's race at Nashville. He led, I think, one lap at Charlotte, ended up finishing third. Obviously not a bad race for him. But still, it's how long is he going to stay up there? Track position, they say, is going to be super important here at Nashville. We've seen people be able to pass here in previous races. 4 races here in the next gen era, and we've seen where cars have been able to pass, so I'm not overly concerned about that. Obviously track position is going to be huge, but still I think guys are going to be able to pass. I think guys are going to be able to get it on the restarts as well, which should benefit a guy like Ross Chastain, who finally has good track position to start the race, finally had a good qualifying effort. Very good here at Richmond, or not Richmond, very good here at Nashville. Should be a contender for the win again today. Building lineups, I think we're looking at 3 Dominators. I think you got to go the 3 Dominator route, and I think the best way is 3 of the higher price guys. The wrench in the whole thing is Kyle Larson, starts 28th. Did not show a ton of speed this weekend, has not shown a ton of speed. Has really, for Kyle Larson standards, he has not been amazing at Nashville. He's finished, I think he has an average finish of in the top 5 in the 3 next gen races, but it's not the numbers that you would expect out of Kyle Larson, and I don't think that they turn that around this week. So now we have to balance whether we build a 2 Dominator plus Larson lineup, hoping to get those place differential points, or kind of go against Kyle Larson in a way and hope he maybe struggles and doesn't get into the top 5. But yeah, you look at the 3 next gen races here. Kyle Larson, fastest lap, 16, 11, and 12, and that's with good starting position in the beginning. And now he has for him, a slow car starting, in the back half of the field. Last year, Christopher Bell looked to be the class of the field. I think there's a tournament play there going with him. But Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick looked amazing in practice. Ross Chastain looked really good in the long runs. One other guy that looked good, my projections really liked this week, and that I've liked all week, got penalized yesterday, AJ Allmendinger. He will be credited with a 17th place starting spot, so keep that in mind, but he's going to have to drop to the rear at the start of this race, and he's going to have to do a pass-through penalty. Now, my rule with these pass-through penalties, I am never overly concerned with these. Very rarely do we see these have such a negative impact on these drivers and on these teams. So I'm not overly concerned about AJ Allmendinger. It actually likes me it makes me like Allmendinger even better as a tournament play because I think he has legitimate top 10 speed. That car looked fast once they finally got on track in practice. That car's been fast on intermediates this year. Just came off a top 5 finish at Charlotte. You know, I understand the concern of him having to make that penalty, but he's good here. He's good at Nashville. He has a fast car. There we go. I was waiting for it. I was trying to time this up where I didn't go live till the race was over, but sounds like Kirkwood won it. Overcame the link walk jinx. Hell yeah, nice. Shout out to Nick for getting me on Kirkwood this week, 8-1 over at BetMGM. So yeah, Allmendinger has to go to the back, and then once the race starts, he also lost his pit selection. And then once the race starts, he'll have to do a pass or a stop and go. I'm not overly concerned about this. Obviously the pit selection, all of this stuff sucks, but to me, like I said, it just makes me like him more in tournaments. I don't see it as a killer for him. Notice that when Larson is slow on Saturday, he's also slow on Sunday. Yeah, they're one of those teams where they tend to improve throughout the race. So if they're fast on Saturday typically and they start a little off on Sunday, by the end of that race, they're going to have the best car. When they're slow on Saturday, it's going to take them the whole race to get to a decent car. And that's why my projections like being kind of off of Larson, and I'm right there kind of with it. I don't consider Larson a must play today, even with that place differential. Yeah, I need to decide if you want 3 expensive, and I think that's the way to go. And I think we can easily do this and build good lineups, even going this route. Playing around with it before I went live here. Yeah, there's some value here in this mid range in the 8,000 range, but I don't see anyone that's that is an absolute must have. Kyle Busch has been good here, qualified 25th. Yeah, he can move up. Alex Bowman, he's decent here. He's not amazing here. He's been good at intermediates this year, but Bowman, another guy, kind of like Larson, they've kind of looked a little lost compared to where they typically are for this whole season. So he's starting 24th. He could be a top 10 contender, but you got to remember, Bowman's never finished better than 14th at Nashville. So do you want to make sure you pay up to get Bowman, or are we just going to be fine with a guy like Carson Hocevar, who's strong in practice, has been strong all year? Yeah, he has mechanical issues. He runs into issues, but starts 26th. He can move up perfectly fine to build a lineup around him. We got Daniel Suarez starting 32nd. He went out really early in the qualifying order. Those Trackhouse cars have speed. I'm perfectly fine going with Suarez as a place differential play. And then we got Bubba Wallace sitting there at 7,000, just way too low priced for Bubba Wallace this week. Now I understand he starts 12th, but he's been a legitimate top 10 contender in here at Nashville in the past. And now you look at how fast Tyler Reddick was in practice. There's no reason to think that Bubba Wallace won't also have speed. It's 23:11. When one of them has speed, they typically all do. And that's why I don't mind going with the Riley Herbst punt today either. I think you can go John Hunter Nemechek, Riley Herbst. There's your 2 punts that are decent. All you need Herbst to do is finish in the 20s. And John Hunter Nemechek got loose on his qualifying effort. You look at the speed that Eric Jones has going back to teammate speed. John Hunter Nemechek has been good at intermediates recently, has been good in the Xfinity Series here at Nashville. Got loose in his qualifying effort, starts like 35th, 36th. You punt with those two, you got so much room to work with. I don't think that's a bad option at all. Not to mention we got guys like Austin Dillon, finished top 15 or like 11th through 14th in 3 of the 4 Nashville races. Starts 21st. Didn't look great in practice. That's fine. People can overlook him. Austin Dillon, I like Austin. My projections like Austin Dillon. I like Austin Dillon today. Got Eric Jones starting 14th. Showed some speed. definitely like a tournament play for sure. And then we get into the range of the Allmendingers, which I like. Corey Heim, who typically stays within a lap of the leaders, ends up moving up just based on getting experience throughout a race. 6,700, he starts 33rd. Don't hate that at all. You got Daniel Suarez starting 32nd. Both those guys are playable. I think you can build a two-punt, John Hunter Nemechek, Riley Herbst type of lineup. Grab one of these guys in the 7,000 range, whether it be, hell, you could even go to Hocevar. I don't love Gibbs, but I understand if people would want Gibbs. Ryan Preece has been legitimate top 10 several times this year. I think people are sleeping on Ryan Preece this week. Got Bubba Wallace, who's a good starting up front, 7,000 cheap option. You got Suarez, Allmendingers, you got all these guys. Not to mention you can combine them if you don't want to go the two-punt route, if you don't want to force yourself to go up there and jump and grab Larson. That's possible too. Wow. It says a lot. Larson's a pretty truthful guy. And if he's saying this is the worst car he's had all year, I think that I do. I think they can get there. I think they can get I think they can get to the top 10, but I'm very curious to see how many fastest laps he actually puts up. And I don't think that getting to the top 10 is going to get him in the optimal at that 11,000. We have a limit. We don't have a ton of laps, only 300 laps tonight, but that's still enough where we've seen time and time again where the place differential, paying up for place differential typically isn't the best move. So if it allows me to grab a third Dominator and upgrade a guy like maybe Riley Herbst up to someone who could legitimately challenge top 10, I think we get off of Larson and go underweight on him. And now, again, I have a tournament brain. I like to be contrarian. But if a lot of people are flocking to Larson and thinking, this is Kyle Larson, he's starting 28th, this is a no-brainer, I don't think that's it. Don't think that's it at all. Yeah, I think Blaney's going to be popular, and rightfully so. He went out. He was in the first group of practice, so the speeds are relative, but he was still fast even for the first group of practice. His speeds were good. His long run speed was good. And you also have to remember, so he qualified 15th. They haven't qualified amazing this year. He also went out 9th in the qualifying order. So the fact that he was able to do that, go out 9th and still qualify 15th, I think is a really good sign for Ryan Blaney. He's been the only guy that can pass on intermediate tracks this year through the field. So Ryan Blaney starting 15th. Yes, I think he's a great pick. I think, honestly, to me, I think the decision you have to make is, do you want to go Blaney or Hamlin, Chastain, Reddick, or do you want to throw in Blaney with one of and then pick a combination between the other two? I think that's going to be the biggest decision, at least in my mind. My projections love going Hamlin, Chastain, Reddick, but you have to also factor in Blaney there. It depends who you want to pair him with. Chastain is really good at Nashville. Denny Hamlin is really good at Nashville. Tyler Reddick has been really good at Nashville. 21 fastest laps last year, 28 fastest laps the year before. Most fastest laps, I believe, on intermediates this year, blazing fast in practice for Reddick. And then you have to consider, coming down. Do you come down and grab a guy like Chase Elliott starting 11th, who I think is a legitimate top 5 threat tonight? Joey Logano won this race last year. If Ryan Blaney, yep, you read my mind, Andrew. If Ryan Blaney has that speed, Joey Logano can somewhere get there. Typically, it just takes him longer to find it. And then, yes, who was the class of the field in this race last year? Christopher Bell. Bell is definitely in play tonight. I could pivot off of Hamlin down to Bell, or I could pivot off of. There's so many that section of drivers right there: Hamlin, Bell, Blaney, Chastain, Reddick. I think the optimal is going to come down to which of those three you nail. Because to me, I think you got to go. I think you got to go three of those, or Byron. You can throw Byron in there. Like secondary, I would put Byron and Larson. Byron starts third. He's been good. I'm just a little concerned about Hendrick's speed at Nashville. They have never really been amazing at Nashville, and I'm fully on board with not fading Hendrick Motorsports, but going underweight. I understand Byron's going to be good. Qualified third. He could get the lead. Showed good long run speed. Has been great on this track type for a while. But I have a little bit of concern with Hendrick Motorsports and how they've performed at Nashville in the next gen era. Because you know my mantra with this next gen car. Everything stays the same. We very rarely see huge changes track to track. So when you have a unique track like Nashville, we know who's good here. The same guys have been good pretty much every race. Yes, Chase Elliott won the first Nashville next gen race. I understand that. It wasn't a dominating effort by any means. Can a Hendrick Motorsports car win this race? Absolutely. William Byron can win this race. I think Chase Elliott can win this race. But they don't have the dominating upside that I see in a Denny Hamlin or Ross Chastain or Tyler Reddick. And I understand, yes, it's taking three of the top five starters, it's risky as hell because they all have to get a share of Dominator points. But if the argument tonight for Nashville is track position is going to be so important, you cannot sacrifice any track position, anything like that. If you look at the next gen races here, one, people have been able to pass, so I'm not 100% sold on just track position. But two, we've seen multiple dominators every single race. I don't think we see a Kyle Larson at Kansas. I don't think we see a Kyle Larson at Bristol tonight. Do I think Denny Hamlin's most likely to dominate tonight? Absolutely. Could I see Denny Hamlin dominating for a portion, and then Ross Chastain dominating for a portion, and then Tyler Reddick dominating for a portion, and then someone else coming in and winning the race at the end? Absolutely. We've seen it happen at Nashville before. So that's why I don't mind the three-headed monster of dominators going a Hamlin, Ross, Reddick. Because I fully expect all three of these guys to be up there all night. Yeah, I hit Chase top Chevy at 9-1. And I saw him 25-1 earlier. He might have been 28 too. I don't hate that. I didn't bet it myself, but I think people might be sleeping on Chase Elliott tonight. You got to remember how good he is at concrete or on concrete. So, let me get my projections loaded in here quick. Oh, they already are. Good. Optimal projected lineup tonight. This one changed a little bit after I made the adjustments for Allmendinger. So the original optimal projected went Hamlin, Chastain, Reddick, Bubba Wallace, AJ Allmendinger, and Austin Dillon. And I still like this lineup because I still believe in AJ Allmendinger tonight. I could eat my words next week. Feel free to call me out next week if I'm wrong, but I think AJ Allmendinger is going to be fine tonight. Bubba Wallace, I'm curious to see what his ownership comes in at with Daniel Suarez being right there and starting so far back. If you don't like this, if you don't like Allmendinger on here, pivot off Allmendinger up to Heim. Don't mind Heim at all. But for sake of making sure that I do have the optimal entered, I'm going to go ahead and throw that in there. So the new optimal lineup after I made the Allmendinger adjustments and reran all projections with that news goes Hamlin, Chastain, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't love this one. Kyle Busch, Ty Gibbs, Bubba Wallace, and Daniel Suarez. I'm not in love with this lineup by any means. I'm not sure I would ever land on this myself. Just hand building. To be determined if I'm going to enter this actual lineup. Second highest or third highest projected now is the exact same optimal. It goes Hamlin, Chastain, Reddick, Suarez, Allmendinger, Austin Dillon. Just coming off of Bubba down to Suarez. And I have Bubba and Suarez neck and neck as far as projected points. Yeah, I agree with you. My issue is with Brad as super low owned, absolutely. I just don't know if in my head I can see him get up there and dominate. Obviously, that car's had a ton of speed at intermediates this week or this year. So I think he has the speed. My problem is I don't know if I see, without like massive chaos, I don't know if I see the path where he gets around Hamlin and Chastain and Reddick and Bell. All of those guys. But I agree with you. It's a him and Buescher in that 8,000 range. I'm FanDuel adjusted their top 10 lines and put Buescher at 3-1, which was just hopefully everybody hopped on that when they could. That was, I don't know if that was a misadjustment or what, but 3-1 is a little interesting for a guy that typically doesn't qualify well. Has been strong on intermediates this year. His teammate has been really strong, and he's starting 10th. Talking about Buescher. Swept the top 10 in both stages in this race last year. So hopefully you all got in on Buescher top 10, 3-1 when FanDuel had it. Do I ever bet the each way, the 1, 2, 3, 4? Yeah, sometimes I do. Just to not have to mess around with like betting top 3 and everything. I'm sure the numbers say that that's awful to bet it that way, but yeah, occasionally I do. Okay. So let's go back to, as I said, I don't mind going with a Herbst, Nemechek type of line. So if you end up doing that and you go, let's say you go Hamlin, Blaney, Larson. Boom. Hamlin, Blaney, Larson, Hocevar. Now, what you need with a lineup like this is Hamlin to be the early dominator, and you need Hamlin to be your main dominator here. That's the only issue I have. Because to me, Blaney, I think, has an outside chance at being a dominator, but to me, it's more place differential, and then I think he settles in the top 5. Maybe picks up some fastest laps. We'll see. It's always kind of hard with the Penske cars. Blaney's more likely to put up fastest laps than Logano is. But you definitely need Hamlin to lead early here, and often. You need a ton of laps led out of Hamlin, because I don't think Larson has the car to do it. And Blaney, I'm on the fence on. But this allows you to get Hocevar, comfortably get Hocevar in there. Plus, Herbst and Nemechek, like I said, I think are perfectly fine options there. If we did come off of Larson, though, well, let's come off of Larson and let's grab. Let's go Chastain. So you go Hamlin, Blaney, Chastain. You got Hocevar. You got an extra 1,000 to work with here. You go Hamlin, Blaney, Chastain, Hocevar, Nemechek, Austin Dillon. I have no issues with that. If you want to come off of Hocevar, I could get you up to Bowman. I'm thinking going down to Priest, though, here. I didn't see why Zane Smith didn't make a long run in practice. But you could come off of Austin Dillon here and jump up to Zane Smith if you wanted to. You could also go off of Nemechek and grab his teammate Eric Jones. I actually like this one quite a bit. So we're gonna go Hamlin, Blaney, Chastain, Priest, Eric Jones, Austin Dillon. Starting with that same core, going You could do something like this: go Blaney, or Hamlin, Blaney, Chastain, Keselowski, Nemechek, Herbst. Curious on what everyone would do if Denny has to leave. So it depends on the timing. If he gets out in the middle of this race, we're kind of shit out of luck. It's risky, but there's nothing you can do. If he starts the race, he gets credit for whatever that car does and wherever that car finishes. If he leaves before the race, do not take him out of all your lineups. That's what you got to do. If you're building a bunch of lineups, honestly, I would build 2 sets because, our luck, and we've seen it happen in the past where news breaks 5 minutes before lock. Our luck is it would be announced that he's not racing 5 minutes before lock. So then you're scrambling. So honestly, we got 3 hours and 42 minutes before lock. I would build a completely separate set of lineups just to have your CSV ready with no Denny. Because and build it with the intent of him not being there. So that's what I would do. And that's what I plan on doing when I do all my lineups. I'm gonna do a separate set. I'm gonna take out Hamlin, and build without him. So I ran my optimizer forcing in Hamlin, Blaney, Chastain. I just wanted to see what it went with. And here's what my projection's like. It actually doesn't like the double punt. So it goes Hamlin, Blaney, Chastain, Suarez, Gregson, and Austin Dillon. Gregson was 18th in 20 lap average out of 22 cars. Betting if the car wins, would Hamlin tickets win if he gets out of the car? You'd have to, I think. I mean, if you're betting just on car number to win, yeah. I mean, you'd probably have to check house rules with that, but I would think so. That's how that would work. That being said, if Hamlin gets out of the car, I don't see Ryan Truex winning this race or driving that car to victory. You could go Priest, Jones, Dillon, which I think I just didn't I? Hamlin, Chester, yeah. So you could do that, or you could go Bubba. The second lineup that my projections like is going Bubba, Austin Dillon, Eric Jones. you wanted to save some cap and go, what if we went like a Reddick, Blaney, Chastain? Throw in a Hocevar there. Nemechek and Bubba Wallace. I don't mind this at all, assuming this would require Reddick to get the lead early, but it would be a non-Denny lineup. I think, for what it's worth, I think my projections are low on Hocevar today. So keep that in mind if you're using those. But I'm going to lock this one in. Reddick, Blaney, Chastain, Hocevar, Bubba Wallace, and John Hunter Nemechek. Yeah, a lineup with no Larson or Hamlin really does open up Pandora's box. There are so many ways to go. Here's one for you. Blaney, Chastain, Reddick. Carson Hocevar, Ryan Preece, Riley Herbst. You could also go SVG if you were inclined. I think SVG starts a little too far forward, but he is, he's coming off from 14th at Charlotte. Maybe he's figuring things out. He was not good in the Xfinity Series here at Nashville last year. But Riley Herbst is Riley Herbst and has been junk all season. Yeah. So Blaney, Reddick, Chastain, rolling with that core and not having to go up to Hamlin really opens the door for a lot of stuff here. So you go Hocevar, Preece, Herbst. I'm going to lock that one in here. Pickers will probably decide this race. Who do you think the best are? The Bubba Wallace's crew has been solid all year. Christopher Bell's crew has been solid. Larson's crew has been solid. The 2311 teams and the Toyota teams, I would say, have a little bit, and the Joe Gibbs Racing teams, just Toyota in general, have an overall little bit of an advantage over the rest of the field. And then we got to remember how bad Penske's have been. Blaney's has gotten a little bit better, but definitely still a lot of issues with those pit crews. So good point. Pit crews are going to be important tonight. That's for sure. How would you rank? Are you saying like Dylan and Gilligan? Jesus. Dylan and Gilly versus Gregson and Smith, or I'm kind of confused there. If you're looking at these strictly head to head, Austin Dillon, my projections like Austin Dillon a lot. And I understand the place differential upside for Gilly. So safe wise, Gillen, but tournament wise, give me Dillon. And then honestly, give me Zane Smith over Noah Gragson. I feel like that team overall is just performing better and has the higher potential to finish with the upside. And you know what's interesting is we should probably build some lineups with pole sitter, with the pole sitter on them. I'm just not sure if I can get there in my head. Let's I got these projections to lock in Hamlin instead of Reddick. Let's look what this likes with Blaney, Chastain, Reddick. Okay, so top lineup with Blaney, Chastain, Reddick goes Blaney, Chastain, Reddick, Bubba Wallace, Daniel Suarez, and then Austin Dillon. Let's do the math here on Austin Dillon. So let's say Austin Dillon finishes 13th after starting 21st. That's going to be 38 points, not counting place differential and everything else. Now, what does Gillen need to get to 38 points? Because I know my projections are low on Gillen, but I'm trying to see where exactly, just looking at what did I say? If Austin Dillon has a 13th place finish, he's looking at 38 points. He's looking at 36 for a 14th place finish. Okay. So for Gillen to get there, so he starts, Todd Gillen starts 35th. 5, 6. So Gillen needs a 20th place finish to get to 38 points if Austin Dillon finishes 13th. I understand the upside for Gilliland. I just think I'd rather go Austin Dillon. Gillen was 20th fastest in practice. '25th and 10-lap average. Yeah, from an upside perspective, I just like the opportunity of Austin Dillon, but I also bet Austin Dillon earlier this week for top 10 at 14-1. So What do you think about Austin Cindric? I'm gonna try this one out. Kind of an off the wall. So we go Christopher Bell, Ryan Blaney, Tyler Reddick, Austin Cindric, Todd Gilliland, and Allmendinger. You could also do a very similar lineup to that, going Hamlin, Chastain, Reddick. The exact same. Gilliland, Allmendinger, Cindric. So that one you're swapping Bell and Blaney for Chastain and Hamlin. And then, of course, like I said, my optimal projected today is Chastain, Hamlin, Reddick, Bubba, Allmendinger, Dylan. But give me Todd Gilliland there. One, I'm going to throw this in with Cindric. So you go Hamlin, Chastain, Reddick, Gilly, Cindric, Allmendinger. Wait, that's what I just put in, didn't I? Losing my mind. Go down to Bubba, and then instead of Chastain, go to Blaney. So you go Hamlin, Reddick, Blaney, Bubba, Allmendinger, Todd Gilliland. Yeah, I still like Austin Dillon over Gilly, and then I like Zane Smith over Gregson. But I will note my projections on Gilly, I think, are too low. The upside is just there with him starting 35th, but that team has they typically completely miss on intermediate tracks. And then they kind of just get there at the end by staying within a lap of the leaders. Similar variation there of what we just built. So you go Bell, Blaney, Chastain. Last time we did was Bell, Blaney, Reddick. Bell, Blaney, Chastain. Bubba Wallace, Todd Gilliland, and AJ Allmendinger. If you have the cap space to move up to Hocevar, I'd go up to Hocevar. But that's a $500 difference, so that's a lot to ask. But Bubba's there, though. Like I said, Bubba's in my optimal projected. He's showing up a ton using my projections. Hamlin, Chastain, Blaney, Bubba Wallace, John Hunter, Nemechek, AJ Allmendinger. Yeah, this is a great question. So, yeah, Gibbs not qualifying well. Honestly, I'm not sold on Gibbs at all. You got to remember. So, we kind of learn how these guys typically practice and qualify and typical race weekends when things are completely normal. And for Gibbs, I would say this weekend was relatively normal. He went out a little early in qualifying, but nothing crazy. He went out 16th. He was 13th in practice. The weekends that we get excited about Gibbs and he somewhat shows speed in the race are the ones where he's flying in practice. He was decent in practice. This kid has a regression characteristic in him where he's kind of like a practice all-star and then very rarely shows that actual speed during the race. So when he's just a little bit better than average in practice, I'm not convinced at all that Ty Gibbs has a good car today for tonight. I think you need to have exposure. My projections like him to have a decent amount of exposure to him. But I'm not building lineups to make sure that I get Ty Gibbs in them today. I think on a good night, he's finishing 10th. And I think on a typical night, he's about an 18th place car. So starting 22nd, and his price just doesn't get it. It's not making sense to me. The math ain't mathing. So for $7,400, I'd rather go Hocevar. I think Hocevar is a much better pick. And honestly, I'd rather jump down and grab Bubba Wallace, Daniel Suarez, any of those guys down there over Gibbs. I'm not sold on Gibbs. I think you have to have a decent chunk of Corey Heim tonight. He's one of those guys, he's still getting used to these cup cars. So it takes him, he's going to start off slow. He's not going to look good. But if they can stay within a lap or two of the leaders, preferably one lap, by the end of the race, he's going to continue to find speed. And that's where he'll move up and he can, with some luck and with a good set of circumstances, he can crack top 20, maybe even crack top 15. So yeah, I think Heim's a solid choice tonight. Much safer pick than AJ Allmendinger, who I like a lot. And like I said, my optimal projected, you could go with Heim instead of AJ Allmendinger. And it's always better when he's in a car that a team that has speed. He's with a team that has a ton of speed this weekend. So yeah, Heim is I think a solid. Again, he's not one of those main guys that I'm building around, but he's serviceable. And you could even do something like this, Hamlin, Blaney, Reddick, Heim, Suarez, Gilliland. If you're not sold on Suarez, jump up and grab Hocevar and go Herbst. We go Hamlin, Blaney, Reddick here. Hamlin, Blaney, Reddick, Corey Heim, Riley Herbst, and Carson Hocevar. Go Hamlin, Stain, Hamlin, Chastain, Blaney, Corey Heim, Herbst, Priest. Blaney, Chastain, Reddick, Heim, Hocevar. Also, like there's so many ways you can go here. Yep. You could also do that. You could go Hamlin, Reddick, Blaney, Gibbs, Heim, Herbst. Yep. That's kind of a tongue twister. Thoughts on Haley? I'm not there on Haley. I'm a big proponent of, trying to be in the buy low territory of Justin Haley, or not of Justin Haley, but of drivers in general. And I'm still not there with Haley. It just doesn't make sense because his teammates have so much speed, but for whatever reason, he's not doing it. Qualified 18th, he was 19th in practice. Yeah. I'd rather go Nemechek and I'd rather go Gillen. I think that's a better play for the place differential. I think Haley's about an 18th place car, which is where he starts. If you have any more questions, go ahead and throw them in here. If you have any ways to start lineups that you want to experiment with. Gillen needs 17th for 44 points. Is he capable? Yep. He's not going to get it on pure speed, but that team just has that team and driver just have an ability to kind of eventually get there. 18th at Charlotte last week, 12th at Kansas, 11th at Texas, 14th at Darlington, 17th at Phoenix. I think Gillen's more than capable of getting 17th. But from a pure speed perspective and legitimately getting up there and running 17th, I don't think so. I think he's going to have a well-timed caution or have something happen. But we know how these races go. We know how they play out. There's probably going to be something screwy that happens. So I by no means am shying away from Gillen. I mean, I bet him 27-1 to hit a top 10 tonight. Just because, I mean, when you have a halfway capable car, 27-1 is always worth a small sprinkle. You look back to this race last year. I also had Daniel Hemrick 27-1. I had that bet last year. He finished, I think, 10th or 9th. So something like that, it's always worth, when the odds drift the way they do, you gotta have some faith and hope for a little bit of craziness. I am curious to see what Chase Elliott does tonight. Again, I'm not 100% sold on Hendrick Motorsports, but I do like. I bet Chase for top 10. Bet 365 opened him at plus 140, so I bet that. I grabbed him top Chevy. Someone in the chat earlier mentioned Chase being 28-1 to win. I don't mind that. If that was available right now, I'd probably throw a few bucks on it. Yeah, SVG sneaky pivot with Trackhouse heating up. I agree. That's just a tough one. That's a tough one to get behind because How much of his qualifying effort was he qualified 23rd, but how much was that because he went out 21st he went out in the second group? And also, how much of his speed in practice was because he was in the second group? You know what I mean? So that's why I'm not sure I get there with SVG. Like, he's just been so bad. And correct me if I'm wrong, but he wasn't like a legitimate top 20 car at Charlotte last night, was he? Or last week, was he? I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. He did finish 20th at Kansas too, 22nd at Texas. It's a good point, Matt. But how much was that? Yeah. He did run 40 laps too, which is solid. You might be talking me into SVG a little bit. I just don't know if I can get there with him. Then again, I am sick of being let down by Riley Herbst every week. But this will be the week that Herbst goes out and sneaks in the top 20, right? What percentage of Larson will I be running with tonight? Right now, I have 0. In the lineups that I've built on this stream, I have 0 Larson. If I throw in my projections into the Rotoballer optimizer, throw it into tournament mode, no other parameters or anything, but just tell it to run 150 lineups. Let this thing run for a bit, and let's see where Larson comes in at. It's taking its sweet time right now. It's up to, we're almost done. Almost there. All right. So tournament mode, it's got Hamlin going 100%. Austin Dillon, Chastain, Kyle Busch, Reddick, Bubba. It's got Larson at 18%, and honestly, I'm fine being there. I'm fine being at 18% with Kyle Larson tonight. If I'm building 150 lineups, give me 18% Kyle Larson. Gregson. Talked about him a little bit earlier. I don't have a definite one way or another with him. I'm kind of stuck on Allmendinger in that range. And if I'm not on Allmendinger, I like going up to Heim. But Gregson, 10th at Charlotte, 14th at Kansas. That's a good point. Is Briscoe a decent play tonight on DraftKings? I think he's going to do better than he did at Charlotte. Okay. So Charlotte, he started on the pole. He fell back almost immediately. He led one lap. I don't think we're going to get that out of Briscoe again. With that being said, I don't know if he leads a ton. And this could be the guy that shakes up a bunch of lineups because I don't think a lot of people are on the pole sitter. I mean, hell, my projections love going Hamlin, Reddick, Chastain, who all start top 5. You're certainly not throwing in the pole sitter there and going for the top 5 starting positions. So I think people are going to be off of Briscoe. He's 8,900, which is it's a little too expensive for him, but he did have speed in practice. And I think the big, it's all going to come down to the first restart or the first start, the start of the race. Will Denny Hamlin take this lead early like he's done before at Nashville? And Briscoe just, even if Briscoe sits there and rides around third all first stage, he's not getting those Dominator points that you need. So long story short, I'm not on Briscoe, but I can see that there's always the possibility in the path of the pole sitter gobbling up the early Dominator points. So I think you need him. Plus, he was strong in practice, best 25 lap average, or one of the best. He was there in 20 lap average and 30 lap average too. Is this his finally breakout race? It could be. It definitely could be. But for the most part, I'm not really on him. I'm not gravitating toward him. I'd have to force him into lineups, which I don't like doing. When you're building a ton of lineups for like a huge contest, yeah, you gotta have the exposure. You can't just completely fade him. But like if I was building a lineup, a single entry lineup, I'm probably not getting a Briscoe. Thoughts on Ty Dillon? I like him most weeks. I'm not there this week. I'd rather go Herbst. If you absolutely all you have left is 5,000 for your last lineup or driver in your lineup, Ty Dillon's fine. He's safe. He doesn't wreck. He can get there at the end. He can sneak in the top 20. But there's other guys that I'd rather go with, and I don't know that you have to punt this week. It certainly makes it easier to build a three-headed monster lineup, but I'm not sure. I'm not as high on Ty Dillon this week as I am most weeks. I'll put it that way. Bowman, I'm not sold on. I think Hendrick Motorsports struggles here a little bit, and I think Alex Bowman struggles here a little bit. Has never finished better than 14th at Nashville. But with him starting 24th, yeah, you got to have some. Like, you can't completely stay away from Alex Bowman. Ryan Preece, I really like Ryan Preece this week. I know a lot of people are going to be on Hocevar. I think Preece is an excellent pivot off of Hocevar. I really like Preece at that $7,300 starting 19th. I think he can roll top 10. RFK cars are good. They're good on intermediates. They have speed. Brad Keselowski looks really fast this week. Busher looks pretty good. Preece is going to be there. Preece is going to have speed. Preece has been the best RFK car all year. So even if he did struggle, he was 15th in 10 lap average in practice. Even though he struggled a little bit in practice, I'm perfectly fine. I have no issues with Preece. I've talked myself into Preece quite a bit doing this stream. I wish I would have wrote him up in my article. All right, Hamlin, Chastain, Reddick, Gibbs. Ugh, don't like it. I'd rather go Preece. Gibbs, Suarez, SVG. I would I understand the logic here. Again, I'm not on Gibbs, so I would go Priest, and then I'd probably go Bubba over Suarez too. You can go either way. You can go either way. But I'd definitely go Priest over Gibbs. Hell, I'd even go Hendrick over Gibbs. But Priest for sure. Just because I only have one lineup with Suarez in it right now, I'm going to go Suarez here. So I'm going to go Hamlin, Chastain, Reddick, Priest, SVG, Suarez. There's also a second way you could go here. Go Blaney over Reddick. So go Hamlin, Blaney, Chastain, SVG, Bubba, Suarez. If you did this, you go Gregson, Hocevar. Hamlin, Blaney, Chastain. There's so many ways. There's so many little swaps like that, like where the two solid drivers equal the same as two other solid drivers. So you can just constantly be switching these out. But Hamlin, Blaney, Chastain, Gregson, Hocevar, SVG. Byron going to be low owned and dominate the race. I don't. It's certainly possible, but the thing with Byron is he's not going to go up there and take the lead. Like Byron is more of a defensive driver than he is an offensive driver, so he needs the lead to basically fall in his lap, and that's how he dominates. Then he doesn't make any mistakes, or he'll sit there and just run lap after lap after lap and click off those laps led. But he doesn't get there. Like he doesn't go and take it. So yeah, he's starting third. I think Hamlin takes the lead early. If Hamlin doesn't, I think Reddick does. And then probably Byron. But even then, we got Chastain sitting there who's a menace on restarts. Chastain has the most passes on restarts this year. For the first time this season, he has track position to start a race. I think Chastain's going to be great out of the box. Got what? Got 4 more lineups left here. I'm gonna roll this. Blaney Chastain Reddick, Ryan Preece, Austin Cindric, and John Hunter Nemechek. Gonna throw this one in for fun. Hamlin, Reddick, Larson, Allmendinger, Gregson, and Nemechek. Just for fun, start a lineup. Hocevar, Priest, Bubba. See if you land on something you like. Okay. So Hocevar, Priest, Bubba Wallace. So obviously we need 2 dominators here. Give me Hamlin and give me. Let's see what we got left over with Chastain. 75. I don't want to go Gibbs. What if we went Hamlin and Byron? Let's see here. It's kind of tough. Let's go. Oh, let's go Chastain, Reddick, Kez. Bubba, Priest, Hocevar. All right, one lineup left. Then I got to hop off here. Get ready for a Sunday night race. Oh, let's see here. Hamlin, Chastain, Briscoe. Busher, Jones, Nemechek. My mind automatically goes to swapping out Busher and Jones and seeing what else you can do though. Like to me, I'd rather go host of our Priest than Busher Jones. I don't think Busher dominates this race. But I understand your reasoning. Same average starting positions as top 6 point scorers in the 2023 race. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Oh, I was thinking because Logano will somehow find a way. Even when he's slow, nobody wants to see it. 100 off from doing that, but you could come down and grab Gilly. Hamlin, Chastain, Briscoe, Logano, Gilly, Nemechek. I agree, though. I think Busher and Jones is an interesting pairing there. But just to have a Logano lineup, I think I'm going to go with this. Unless I want to go Reddick instead of Chastain. I think I am. I'm going to go Reddick instead of Chastain. So I'm going to go Reddick, Hamlin, Logano. And then instead of Gilly, I'm going to go up and grab Austin Dillon. So, man, 3 of the top 4 starters. What am I doing? All right, I'm rolling with this. Chastain, Reddick, Logano. AJ Allmendinger. Chase Briscoe. John Hunter Nemechek. Lock that one in. All right, if you have any more questions, throw them in the chat now. Otherwise, I'm gonna hop off of here. I haven't seen any other breaking news that we have to discuss. Hopefully, we get a good race tonight at Nashville. It's always weird with a Sunday night race with no holiday on Monday, but hopefully we get a good one here at Nashville tonight. Lots of ways to go. Lots of ways this thing can play out. And remember, there's still a chance that Denny Hamlin hops out and doesn't race this race, or hops out in the middle of it. And Chastain Reddick is so tough. And I think that's why I have so many lineups with both, because it's such a toss-up for me, and I think they both have great upside. I have Chastain very slightly projected higher than Reddick, but it's ever so slightly. So Chastain versus Reddick, I like Chastain just a hair more. And then Chase, yeah, I do. I think Chase has top 5 potential. I think people might be sleeping on Chase. I did bet him. I bet him top 10, plus 140 for a top 10. I bet him. Chase Elliott's really good at concrete tracks. So I think he'll be strong. I don't know if he'll win. I mean, hell, he hasn't won in what, 38 races or something. But I think Chase will be strong. There's no other questions. I'm going to hop off of here, get all my lineups done, get ready to watch this race. Good luck to everybody. As always, check out rotoballer.com. Use code Jordan25. You'll get 30% off. All of my content, exclusive content is there. Algorithm predicted finishing order, DraftKings projections, my picks, my bets. I got a heavy betting card today. I have quite a few bets out there. Shout out to DraftKings for bringing back the shitbox specials tonight or this week. We got Cody Ware versus JJ Yaley head to head, and Cody Ware, or not Cody Ware, but JJ Yaley versus Chad Fincham head to head. So it is always so much fun betting on the shitbox head to heads that they give us. Priest, do you think there's enough place differential if we can't get the Dominator? Yeah, I think Priest is fine. He's shown, like, if he gets track position late, he can finish top 5. And he's been good here at Nashville, even before he got in an RFK car. So yeah, I do. I like Priest quite a bit tonight. 9th at Charlotte, 7th at Kansas, 3rd at Vegas this year, 9th at Homestead. I like Priest a lot. Especially if you want to pivot off of Hocevar. A lot of people are going to be on Hocevar. I don't mind pivoting down to Priest at all. But all right, I'm going to hop off of here, guys. Good luck to everybody. Enjoy that race. Next week is Michigan, and I'm going to be at the race. So I do not think I'll be able to do a live stream next week. And I'm busy on Saturday. So it's going to be a very busy weekend as far as getting content up, making sure everything is done, especially with me going to the race on Sunday. So if you're going to the Michigan race, send me a message. Maybe we can meet up or something, grab a beer. I'll be there. But other than that, enjoy Nashville tonight. Good luck with all your bets, all your fantasy lineups. Hopefully I helped you out here. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. See you guys.